Call the meeting to order. We all rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can we do a roll call, please?
Yes. Wonderjum.
Here.
Benak here. Gardine. Here. Campbell. Here. DeHaan.
Here.
Hybor.
Here. We have a quorum. First note is a courtesy to the members of the audience of the Board of Education. Please silence your cell phone. Public will only be allowed to speak during public comment if signed up. Heather, do we have anybody that you've seen? No. All right, beautiful. Thank you. Item number 1, the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to item number 2, superintendent search planning. So welcome Mark again.
Good evening. Good to be back again. You should have, I passed out a couple of documents to you. One is the summary of what I heard on the engagement sessions, and then a second copy of the questions that I prepared the last time. And this one's a little more color-coded, but I thought you may not have the questions from the last time, so I brought them with me just in case. Brought you another set. So our plan tonight would be to go over, just talk about what I found out in meeting with staff and community. We will look at setting up interview time for next week, and go over a little PowerPoint on just some interview preps, some tips on what you should be doing during the interview, how to prepare for it, and then we want to choose the questions. So that's the plan, the agenda that I put together, and hopefully we can go through that in a rather timely fashion and not keep you here all night. But
Sounds good.
I don't have to be anyplace till 7:15 tomorrow morning, so whatever it takes. So getting to the, you should have 2 sheets, and for some reason I don't have mine right in front of me, which I just had. There it is. A meeting with the different groups. I met with 4 different groups, one of them online, and that was last Thursday, I want to say it was. And so I met with the admin group. There's probably 10 to 12 in that one. Secondary group after school, and they're open. All the groups are open to anybody, depending on when you could get there. We try to set it up so, time it when schools got out, that sort of thing. And I appreciate Heather really helping me to set that up, so thank you very much. We met at Oakstown, and the elementary group, moving on there, had about 20 people, and then the community, there's somewhere between 20 and 25 people wandered in towards the end, and I may not have got a good count on them, but it was around 25. So as you look at this, please keep that in mind. When you look at staff, for example, you have about 645 staff according to your website. So you had 57 there. That's roughly about 8%. So things to keep in mind. You have 5,500 students, 20 to 25 community people. Just as compared with the survey, the anonymous survey, we had 335 and 177 staff. So just to give you a little perspective there and to kind of keep that in mind. So when I do these, I have the 4 questions that we talked about that I ask, and then I just try to get common themes that between all the groups that showed up quite often. And so just when you look at the strengths of the district, you can see there's a strong commitment, there's a collaboration and connection with the community, and business partnerships came up quite often. Very diverse offerings of programs. People would say, well, we have a great music program, or we have great extracurriculars, or we have great AP programs. So the diverse offerings of is a strong point of programs here. in Grandville. Came up a lot of different ways, but strong systems in place. For example, one would be your MTSS system. So I think it came up, whether it be something with HR or just systems are in place, so which, kind of means that, to me, when I look at it, the systems keep going. People can change, but the systems can keep going. It's not, your district's not depending on the person running it, if that makes sense at all. Very caring and passionate, connected staff, a diverse student population. So that's going to come up in the challenges when we go to the next spot. But diverse student population, and it was pretty unanimous whether it was at any level, as far as it came up in every group, as far as it might be down to the teacher, any employee up to the district level administration. It was kind of consensus from people that the staff is all very approachable, supportive, innovative came up, and always putting kids at the forefront. So that was a good sign, and it did particularly come out. I think somebody even mentioned, even if you go to the district office and you ask for something or ask something, they're more than willing to help or answer your question. So that was strong points that came out. If we looked at challenges for the next 3 to 5 years, not a surprise for anywhere when you come out. Budget finances are always number one, and if you've been watching the way budgets are going here in the next few years, I think it's going to be even bigger concerns for all districts across the state coming up in the next few years. A lot of sentiment about have many staff getting to the retirement age, so recruitment, bringing in new staff, keeping the stability, you kind of have some institutional knowledge there that you lose when you lose staff members for retirement. So that's a challenge of how do you keep that going, how do you replace those people? And I put it down there, I should have put it back to back, I didn't, but it was also brought up, we have diversity in students, but we don't have nearly as much diversity in staff at any level. So, that's going to be a challenge. And that's, quite honestly, that's a challenge for almost every district because educators are just not, they're not in the pipeline. So that's a big challenge. And again, that was brought up, not only older staff getting towards retirement age, but also diverse staff that mirrors what the student population looks like. Curriculum, as far as that is, there was some, how do we maintain the stability in the shift of curriculum? There's some shifts going on. I want to say that was mostly at the secondary level where I got that from, but I can't really be for certain. There was talk about, a challenge of getting vertical alignment, elementary through the 12th grade of curriculum. So it's, you have good steps from one grade to the next. And challenge of professional development for implementing that curriculum or developing instructional strategies, developing staff even. So those are kind of things we talked about last meeting, but that was expressed.
So you didn't hear much on the K-4 curriculum at all?
I will say the curriculum came up much in the elementary. We didn't get any specifics of the curriculum or what it was or anything like that.
That's just the most feedback that I've received from people is on that.
Yeah, I'll say the elementary group was probably strongest on concerns about the challenges with curriculum, implementing new curriculum, having I don't know if I want to say up to date or yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think that's what that vertical alignment is.
Kind of along with that, really, with the changing, students are coming in much more needy. I don't know if I say needy is the word, but there are many more challenges. In many schools, really, when we went through those years of having COVID, Students came back with many more needs, and so we're still seeing that in the classroom, whether it's behavior, academic, social, emotional. Those are challenges and that's not unique to Grandville, but that's something that staff and community see are challenges coming up. Class sizes across the district, and I feel like I should give a little more context to that. That really came, as far as my understanding, was like in that particular elementary, when you look at one elementary school, their class size might be large as compared to another elementary school where they have fairly small. And that's always a challenge depending on how your building has gone in the community, that sort of thing. And so when we talk about class sizes, I can't say that it was all across. It's just unequal class sizes, maybe you want to say, was a concern. And it was a challenge that we see. And then thought a very good insight was really, it's kind of along the technology, but we have society changing so quickly, particularly with AI and technology, that the challenge of making sure what we have, the programs we have are relevant and will serve our students well, so when they graduate, that they will be prepared for society. For example, sometimes you can invest in some technology, but is it the right technology, and that sort of thing. So those were the main challenges that talked about for the next 3 to 5 years. We look at experiences that the next superintendent should have had. Again, much like the survey, as mentioned, they should have been a teacher, principal, central office experience would be nice. Experience at the district level, again, I guess I put that on there twice. Strong curriculum background did come up, and it's a couple of different meetings. Experience of a similar setting as Grandville. Then there was also knowledge, particularly about Grandville schools. Solid understanding of the professional learning communities, or PLCs. I believe that's something that the district has implemented and just needs somebody that understands it and can help implement those PLCs well. There was ability to bring in a new perspective, or having a new perspective. And then I did have this because it was I had both comments, like I don't know which one you put. It was just sometimes what you get when you do this. There was comments like, we need somebody from the outside, and there was comments, we need someone from the inside. So, that's not unexpected, that happens. And there was also a few comments on really, the person should be really current on state and national issues in education, particularly legally, that sort of thing, which we would hope that they would all have that. If you talked about how this last question was, what kind of traits or attributes does an individual need to have to be successful in Grandville? Much of what we saw in the survey, committed to the community, visible, transparent, came up. A growth mindset. And growth mindset really goes down with, I think somewhere in here I had we're inspirational leader, forward thinker, that sort of thing. Somebody with a fresh perspective, ability to make hard decisions, kind of a tough skin type of thing, ability to listen to everyone, but also see the bigger picture and make the tough decisions when you need to do that. Open to other ideas, work with the staff to listen to their ideas, a sense of humor, invest in developing staff, felt that was important, visionary again, balance support with, you want to support people, but also make sure you hold them accountable, personal, approachable, down-to-earth type person, trustworthy. Again, this is kind of along the thick skin, but steady leadership when faced with adversity, not getting too high or too low, but being able to be steady through difficult situations. Develop relationships with kids, and staff, and parents. So, and I think there was also I put on there a couple that mentioned that it's always been a very good collaboration with the administration, district administration, and the various unions that you have, and they're hoping that they can continue that relationship in which it's more of a let's work together than us versus them type of mentality. So they're definitely hoping they could keep that up. So that's what my summary came up with in the meetings that I had.
Thanks for doing that, Mark.
You are welcome. And so I hope you can take that with, with the survey that you had. Gives you an idea when you're interviewing of what kind of things, because you all have an opinion in that too, and you know at a different level, all the aspects that go on to really being the CEO of your school district. And so there's a lot of pieces to it that, some staff do not see, some community members don't see, and so just please keep that in mind when you're thinking through. But you have these. It's just helped you inform of what people are looking for as you're interviewing a candidate. Okay? Perfect. All right. We're good on that?
Yep.
The next step is I think we need to talk about the applicant. We did have one applicant, that was John Philo. I talked to him last night, so I said, are you okay if you still in? Because I just say your name rather than just talk about the one applicant. But he said, yes, absolutely. He'd already let some new people know that he was either interested or had already applied anyway. So he did apply, he met all the criteria, and so I think we need to, we established next Tuesday is the 24th is Tuesday, right? Yes. We established that and just wanted to establish a time to have the interview.
Maybe 6.
Make 6 work.
That's the 24th? Yeah.
In the past, we've gone earlier, so that's why I'm saying 6.
Yeah,
Because it gives time for the interview and then discussion after that.
That's fine with me.
So are we all in agreement on 6 then?
Yes, 6 p.m.
Could you
6
just,
o'clock.
okay, will Joe be able to be there by then? or-
Yes.
Okay.
He'll be able to come. Okay. Good.
Okay. 6 it will be then. And I'll prepare a press release that can be put on your website and put out on your social media, and I'll send it to all the people that I sent the other one to. Heather will make sure it's taken care of, I'm sure. And that will be and it basically says when it is, who's being interviewed, and make sure that the public knows that they're welcome to attend that, and that we would have feedback forms for them to fill out after the interview. So that's more feedback for you to have. 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Tuesday,
All right.
the 24th.
Yep.
All right. Before we do the questions, I'd like to spend a few minutes and go through just a little interview prep, just so you know how this all goes, and kind of, especially if you haven't done it before, just to give you an idea of what you kind of want to look for and what you, how you want to be prepared yourself. So it's not real long. I'm going to skip a few slides here and there. And keep in mind, you're trying to learn more about the candidate, and you're really trying to find out how do they conduct themselves in a public setting. Some candidates are practice interviewers, some are not. So some people do interview well, some don't. We'll see. John, I don't know how much interviewing he has done over the years, but so it really, when you get people that I want to say have been on the circuit trying to get jobs, you can tell which ones, like they're interviewing all the time. It's like, wow, those are just kind of canned answers there. So I will be, once we select the questions, I will set up an interview guide for you. I'll have the office type one up. I'll make printouts of it, and it'll be for you to be able to write on it, that sort of thing. And then I'll bring it on. I'll assign questions to you. The president really runs the proceedings. Once I introduce and set the person down, the president runs the proceedings. But so you just have to be able to read it. Is really the way it works. This again, as you get ready, think about what the survey said, what we got from the engagement sessions, what you already know of what you're looking for. Please have that in mind. And when you look at the questions, read all the questions. So, what are you going to look for in each question? And I know this is hard to say, but practice the questions you'll be asking. I'll assign them to you. It's kind of like, when we did the pledge every day at school, we'd print it out right there, because it's amazing when you haven't looked at it in a while, you forget the words all of a sudden.
So this is similar to, I just want to clarify, this is similar to what we did when we were interviewing candidates to replace Barb Palmer, where we will have set questions that, like, I'll only ask question, whatever, number 2 and 8 or whatever, something like that.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Typically, now, we'll have our set questions. We want to make sure we ask those.
Okay.
But there may be, we would treat this like a follow-up or like a second round. You may have a follow-up question that you want to ask, or they said something in there and you want a little more information on it. You could ask a follow-up question. Also, considering the situation, something may hit you that they've said, or something may come up, and you could just, any one of you could ask the president, may I ask another question that's not even on there, okay?
I feel like that's how it was when we went over to Kent ISD, and there were specific questions, but then there were follow-up questions for sure with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Typically, we'll get some follow-up. We generally don't get any that are really off the wall, but they may have said something, I should say off the wall, or kind of out of context of what you're doing, but maybe they answered a question and you might have a follow-up to that you want something on.
We call that peeling back the layers of the onion.
Yes.
So you get the answer, then you can ask a little follow-up. Now, how many questions, if we're all doing one, or if we're all asking, right? How many questions do you typically look at in that scenario? Is it 14? Is it 2 for everybody? And we kind of go round. I mean,
typically, 15 to 18 questions is really,
because you're averaging 2-3 minutes per answer, I guess. Just trying to.
It all depends, some can be short, some can be, some you're looking for a simple answer. It's almost like when you think of the Senate hearings or whatever, and somebody says it's a yes or no, and then they end up going 5 minutes. Those things happen. And I think the key thing we should focus on, tell me if I'm wrong, but we set a time for the interview, and that's what we track to. That's what we track to, is that time. And typically, it's 45 minutes. In the past, it's been, now granted, we only have one candidate, but tell me if it would be
usually different. When we're doing first round, I'd say it's 50 minutes long, and you're going to get 15 questions, and so they're responsible to kind of keep track of their timing themselves. And I kind of usually sit back and I give a signal to the board president, and sometimes the candidates like 5 minutes to go or something like that. Second round, usually they've been going about an hour, because you really want to dive into and learn a little bit more about that person. So I would say typically it's about an hour. Sometimes they go a little longer than that, depending on follow-ups, that sort of thing. One thing, and we can talk about this a little bit later, is what we have been doing, and I feel like it's been quite successful, is giving the candidate the questions 24 hours in advance. It really gives you more thoughtful answers, and when you think about it as a superintendent, usually you have a little bit of time to solve a problem, to solve an issue, to think through an issue. Rather than, you don't have to really think of something right on the fly, nearly as much as I kind of compare the difference between a high school principal and a superintendent. As a high school principal, I had to do things a lot quicker because he had 1,000 kids running at you at once or whatever, and all their parents. There's no question, the superintendent issues are bigger, but you usually have a little bit more time, so.
They let it go to voicemail and then get their time to respond, right? Exactly. There's not
Well,
something
yeah,
running.
sometimes, but it does really, and again, we can talk about, give you a chance to let that think about it for a bit, but we really have seen more thoughtful, more thorough answers. And it's interesting when you're doing, like you say, you have 15 questions and you have 50 minutes. Yeah. And you've got them, and it's interesting to see, like, we gave you the questions, and you either didn't prepare for them at all, because it's amazing how many people will not. Other of them will over-prepare, and they'll write down their answers and come and read it, word for word. That tells you something also. And then there are people that it's like they can't get through half the questions, and you say, oh, sorry, your time's up. Because part of it is time management. You want to look at how do you manage your time? How do you conduct yourself in public? So, anyway.
When we ask these questions, do you want us to stay, I mean, I know you said follow-up, and I understand that, but initially, do you want us to stay with the wording as prescribed here? The reason I'm asking that is I think that I've been in situations where the questions can be leading if phrased a certain way. And I'm just wondering how much leeway are you suggesting for any of that, or would you think it would be better to stick with more the direct questions
Well, I
as
think
stated?
I think that's a tough question to answer right now because we haven't decided the questions.
Right.
So we'll get to that, and then we can talk about that when we're talking about the questions. I think.
Okay.
I think that's probably because it's a nebulous question, right now. Because what if all of our questions are that we end up deciding crystal clear? I guess that's my point.
Okay.
And generally, you read the question that you have in word for word.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was looking for.
One thing you want to look out for is, we kind of call it cultural noise. Again, you want to look for, are they just general questions? Does it really lack any real substance to it? You want to, does it lack any evidence? You want evidence. You want specifics quite often. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a minute, but this is where a good place for a follow-up is they're really general. It's like, okay, got that, your philosophy, but can you give us a specific time when this happened? It's kind of what we call, which may be coming up next year, so I won't get ahead of myself. It's kind of, whoops, did I go through two? We call it the STAR method, but it should be coming up here. So, you want to be, as usual, like you're having a conversation, include nods, pauses, that sort of thing. Try not to be too supportive of an answer, because it's kind of like leading them. It's like, you don't want to be too supportive, but you want to look like you're interested. Please go in with an open mind, listen objectively. This is one that some people get uncomfortable if there's silence for a little bit. Don't rush to break the silence. Let them do it, or him do it in this case. And we really don't want to validate a candidate's answer too much. Just thank you, that sort of thing, and move on to the next question. Again, maintain good eye contact. Take notes. You may need them for later. They are subject to FOIA. I will collect everything when this whole process is all said and done, and I'll take care of that for you. That's generally what we do. And then here's what I wanted to talk about, the STAR method. And really, you want to listen for facts and actual events. And it depends on the question. So, some questions are going to be, what was the situation or task? What action did they take? And what were the results that they got from that? So, and I'll have, on the interview guide, the situation, task, action, results will be written on there, so that'll be a little reminder. And again, make certain that after the interview, you're taking your notes, kind of get your thoughts together. We'll take a little break afterwards, and you'll be able to, while I make copies, I'll give you a chance to read over what everybody else had to say before we start the deliberation. That was it. Easy peasy. Good so far? Any questions on that? All right. The most difficult part. I shouldn't say difficult, but it's sometimes can be challenging. So what I found is you don't want to start from scratch with questions. So I gave you a list of 27, and I've given you a color-coded list now because I really do think, definitely under 20, 15 to 18 is a nice number. And I'm going to tell you about the color coding here in just a minute. But what I tried to do, because there are so many aspects to being a superintendent, I tried to hit questions on every area as much as possible. And so, like, for example, I've got about 12 different areas with questions. So, whether it's board relations, finance, budget, community relations, kind of a diversity inclusion questions, your educational instructional leadership question, experience question, facilities. I may not have a facilities one in there, I don't recall on that one. Human resources, maybe labor-related question, a management question, something on personnel, and student achievement. So trying to hit all those areas, and so once you do that, you got a dozen right there. And so we want to, if we want to get to 15 or 18, there's just so many, like I said, so many different aspects to being a superintendent. So if you look at this, generally I would suggest with, question one, that's kind of a warm-up question, but even though you know John, you need to give him a chance to tell us how his background and experience make him a good fit to be your next superintendent. It's always interesting to see what they have on that. So it may be a softball, but they should know that answer. Number two there is the board superintendent relationship. I think that's one of the most important things that you guys need to be concerned about, because he works directly for you, and how's that going to work? You guys work very closely together. So you notice on 3 and 4, they're both in blue. Mm-hmm. My suggestion is to take one of them because they're both on budget financing. Mm-hmm. So just a couple different ways to say it. So that'd be my suggestion, and I don't know if we want to do that now or if we want me to keep going and.
Just keep going.
Okay. Since we had a lot, communication with staff and community comes up a lot, and so actually 5, and there's another one about communication, or number 7 is somewhat close to that, so maybe choose one of those two or something along those lines. 6, tell us how you maintain visibility and accessibility for staff, parents, and community groups. How do you stay in touch with your community? Number 7. The ones that are in red, I'm kind of like, well, maybe that would be one that would go, but it depends on what you're really looking for as well.
They all feel the same.
Um,
5, 6, and 7 seem very similar.
Yeah.
So, number 8 is kind of a common one that we've used quite often because there are just so many crisis events, and that's one of those things where you want to know how they've handled something like that in the past, and how would they do that in the future. Number 9 is really kind of about talking about your diversity question and including everyone, because tell us about a challenging situation you've experienced in bringing a diverse group of people to consensus on a difficult issue. How did you provide the leadership in that situation, and what was the final outcome? Again, that's a question that they should be able to give you a specific on that. So, quite often what comes up is how are you going to support your administrators, but also be supportive of teachers. Again, 11 and 12 are similar, so I would suggest one of those. If you're going to use one of those, either none of them or one of them. So these get really to starting to talk about curriculum a little bit, tell us about experience in the development and implementation of a specific program or initiative. So it's kind of curriculum, but may not be. So what process did you use? How did you involve others? And 12 is kind of that same way. It's just asking about, facilitating other ideas. So you have it there. 13 is a curriculum question, obviously. What do you expect out of it? Well, it's kind of curriculum, I guess it's all of those. I debated about that one, but I thought I'd put it out there for you. 14, I think, is something along those lines. It would be important because that's what we've heard in our groups, and you expressed before. How will you assess the effectiveness of instructional practices and teaching resources, and what corrective measures do you take when an assessment indicates that a recommended resource or instructional strategy is not having the desired positive impact on student achievement? So that kind of hits some of what we've talked about. The 15s talking about past accomplishments and struggles to get to, if there are any difficulties, how did you get there? 16,
It's just like 10.
how have you describe how you've engaged and support staff members in a way that is meaningful to them? How do you know they felt supported? I got that one out of my list because I think in the survey it talked about, superintendent who is affirmed staff, recognizes and affirmed staff. So that's kind of what that one was about. 17 is definitely about contracts and labor negotiations because it's asking about involvement in collective bargaining. 18 is about decision making, and again involving how do you make decisions, when do you bring in the various groups, teachers, administrators, students, parents, Board of Education, make a decision. And again, it's going to ask that one ask about tell us about a specific one you've done, other than call a snow day or something like that. 19 is kind of general with this, what's the most important leadership skill. So this is kind of, some people like these, some boards like them, some don't want them quite that general. So that's why I put it in red. What's your definition of vision, and how does the school community establish that vision? That's 20. I personally like number 21, but I try to tailor that more towards Grandville, especially someone that's been here. What do you see as areas of improvement? Where do you see the district 5 years from now?
Just to comment on that, that's something that I was thinking of is, maybe we can talk about this more later, but I was thinking of a question is, Grant, we've called ourselves the destination district. Why do you think it has been that? And then what do we need to do to continue to be that in the future? And that kind of ties to 21.
Yeah, that'd be very similar to that, and we certainly could kind of get to the same thing, so yes, we could. How do you evaluate existing programs and personnel? Again, that goes with one kind of like 14, acts a little bit differently.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have a little more conversation on that one, because I do think that is something we're gonna have to deal with. Right, wrong, or differently, whether you look at our budget. What stays, what goes. So, I'm sorry.
Tell us about a time in your professional life when you needed to be true to your personal integrity, even though there were or could have been negative consequences for you. In other words, tell us about a time when you had to stand up for what you believed in the face of opposition. Kind of getting at what kind of skin do you have, I guess you could say. 24, I think, is important because I don't believe that John has ever been a superintendent. So you may want to ask, how do you plan on growing with the role and advance your knowledge? And I could add more areas to that, but whether it's finance, contract negotiations, that sort of thing. And what role would you want the board to help play in that? Some districts have liked number 25, what should a parent look for in an educational program? Get some interesting answers. 26 talks about the achievement gap, obviously. How have you addressed it? Tell us about challenges and progress you made while addressing it. And then finally, 27's, you always want to give them a chance to either make a statement about something that they didn't get asked about that you want to know, or do they have any sort of closing remarks or questions for you? So that's what I have drafted.
So, we've gotten something similar in the past, right? And again, I'm the only one that's ever done this before, so. But the other thing that, and you mentioned it earlier, I actually have already written my questions. So I've given depth, enough background. Happy that John would get these ahead of time. So as we select what we're gonna do, I don't care if a question or a category is asked more than once. I don't think it should matter, right?
I agree.
So for me, and as you're reading those, so for me, the first one is budget. I actually had 4, but I'm only interested in 3. Special ed, and then development. So the difference between Roger and Ron, and what has happened in this district during both of their tenures, and the difference that we've achieved. And so those are my questions, and I'm happy to, I got a few edits, but I'm happy to provide them ahead of time. But those are the areas that I want to talk about. Everything else, it doesn't matter. If you want to assign one more, you can. It doesn't matter. These are the ones I'm interested in.
So, from my understanding, right, I mean, what I hear, and we can talk about this, right, how are we going to do this, right? So, we talked about 18 questions, is that what we said?
Right.
So,
Or
there's
what we
7.
can achieve within the time period.
Right. So, just thinking through the format of how we do it, right? I'm thinking we just go around again, go around again. And then that's going to be close to 21, right? If we can get that far, that third time around. So, as we look at these questions, right, and we can throw yours in the mix, right, for sure. What's the best process? I mean, do we want to go around and vote and say, hey, who had strong feelings about any of these, right? Like, I've gone through and said, yep, here's the ones that I would like to see asked. But if I'm the only one that wants to see it asked, it's not that big a deal, right?
Well, we're 1 of 7.
What's that?
You're 1 of 7.
I appreciate that. But yes, right? So, but I want to make sure, hey, we're getting the questions asked that we want to have asked as a group, right?
That's what I kind of thought this evening was for, was
Yes.
to go, because some of these to me, especially 11 through 14, they all can be combined into, if that is something that is extremely, if that's one of the things that we want is for specific curriculum stuff, because it also comes into 18 where you can parse out part of that and put it into your curriculum questions. And I think some of us have other interests in asking. Budget's definitely one of the things that I worry about for when we're talking.
And he could have 7 questions on budget if he wants.
Yeah.
It's up to this board to decide.
Well, but I would like to know, right, like, I would like to know what your question is so that we aren't repeating whatever the questions are. So I thought that that's more of what this was, kind of understanding what
We
other
can
people are
start the
going to ask.
process, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Just so we're not redundant, right? So,
I don't think my questions are going to be redundant with anybody.
no, but
She's not
I'm not saying that you're going to be redundant. What I'm saying is that if you're asking a specific question and we have several categories of questions, it'd be great to get like a taste from what you have, a taste from what Brent has.
Understand?
So that was my understanding of how we were functioning with this.
So you want to share your questions?
Sure.
All right.
So the first one is on budget. And the funding cycle appears to be bottoming out on a bell curve perspective and will likely be the trend for the next few years. Thus, we're seeing state funding not necessarily keeping up with what we have received over the past several years. In addition, the school district's credit rating has been recently downgraded by Moody's from an A1 to an A2. While an A2 is not alarming to some people, it does present a notable cautionary factor to the administration to maintain and grow our fund balance above the current 7%. With the majority of the budget approximately 82% funding staff, what 2 or 3 strategies would you utilize to help hold the line on regarding our funding balance, our fund balance, while continuing to improve student learning?
I love that because I also put in our credit rating from A1 to A2 in some of my questions too, so.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So I want to give enough depth
Yep, for sure.
Right.
so that he knows what I'm trying to get at.
Nope, I like it.
What's your next one?
Pardon?
What's your next?
Oh, you want me to go through all of them? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Start there.
Okay, I got one on curriculum, but I figured if out of this, I also did enrollment, but I'm not going to go there. For curriculum, one of the common themes I have heard from staff is the lower L curriculum has some holes for both reading and math. Are you aware of the concerns across the elementary buildings, and what is your perspective on the need to align through K-6? I think if any of us are talking to teachers,
Yeah.
they're hearing that.
For sure.
Okay, so that's my question on curriculum. I don't need to take it. If you don't want to use it, you don't need to, but that's what I have.
I like it.
So, so budget aligns with 3. Special ed, to me, aligns with 14. There is a growing concern from parents and staff that I hear from where the administration is moving to an inclusion model versus self-contained for K-4 and 5 and 6. Students that add strain on general ed classrooms, teachers, and buildings. This may not be in the best interest for both the special needs students and the general ed students, and I believe the majority of parents today rely very heavily on the guidance from the district as to be best placement for their children. What is your perspective on this situation, and can you provide a top-level response to addressing and resolving this concern? This is in every elementary. And a teacher's busy enough. And I have a feeling, I don't like where we're going with inclusion. it's too far. So that's my special ed. And then the
Could I just hit on that just a bit? I just wonder, because I don't have any problems with you asking about that. I'm just wondering, is the question more, should it be more targeted towards how will you deal with these concerns that you're expressing and the current law?
No, because it doesn't fall into that whatsoever, because I'm asking what his perspective is on this situation, and can you provide a top-level response? The law has not changed.
Right. I understand that.
There's a migration that's occurring, and it isn't because of the law.
So I understand what you're asking, like, how do we balance, right, as an administrator, how do we make sure it's, kind of, how do we make sure we balance FAPE and LRE? So how do we make sure kids are getting the services they need so that they can benefit and receive a free, appropriate education, right, and what that setting is?
Correct, and the best education.
Right.
For their situation.
Right.
And also addressing the needs of the overall classroom.
Right.
Just adding a parapro doesn't help. I can refine that a
Can you
little
add
bit.
in the language too that she had with FAPE and LRE in there too? Like within your question? For that balance, right?
It doesn't matter to me. I mean,
If you want to, I don't think it's needed. But I think the question is, how do you, when I look at it, right, it's how do you meet the needs of an ever increasingly, group of kids and families and everyone who, for kids who qualify for special education, how do we make sure their needs are getting met? How do we make sure they're benefiting from their education, but also, right, those models of inclusion, right? There's that balance there. So how
there
do we
is,
achieve
and,
it?
and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. I
No,
think
I
we
get
need
it.
to get it. But since Durant was settled,
Right.
you have a generation of parents that have no idea how to walk through this.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
It's frightening, because they're just going to go on what they're being guided on, and is that family being serviced correctly?
Right.
And I have concerns.
So can I ask you, given Mark's guidance here, like if you ask that, what kind of indicators are you going to be looking for in a response by a candidate?
For me,
Yeah.
I want to know where he sits on inclusion versus self-contained overall for a general placement.
Okay.
Because that's what's happening today. I'm sure John is aware of this question. I can refine it. I'll refine it.
Well, it gets
I'm happy
to
to
the
do
point
it.
that I was brought up before, and that is,
Not everything needs to be definitive.
I'm not saying it does, I'm just saying, as we're asking questions, I thought, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought we were trying to ask the questions in such a way that we're not leading them to where we want them, like my indicators for any of the questions that I ask. I want to just hear what that person's going to say, just given the bold-faced question, not necessarily like leading, injecting my feelings or opinions about something into the question, but just asking the question, like what you're trying to propose, like giving these challenges, how are you going to deal with that? I just felt like I was feeling a lot of your emotion in that question.
That's right. There's a lot of emotion from me on that. But every question could be leading to some degree. I'm willing to refine it to some degree and come up with a better final, give me this direction. I'm willing to do that. It shouldn't take me long to do it. But I think it needs to be asked. It is a significant concern that's going on in K4 and even in 5-6.
I've heard that from teachers in light of also the prospect of larger classrooms.
They need stable students to as much as we can give them. So the last one is either 19 or 24. And it's like, John, you've been in this district for quite a few years. Can you provide a quick synopsis between Roger Barrett and Ron Kniff related to leadership development strategies regarding their approach to resolving issues and their management styles that have facilitated leadership development opportunities? So, let me give you the history on this. Up until Ron's last 3 years, maybe, we lost a lot of great administrators. They went to other districts because we did not create a farm at all. I mean, you go to the middle of the state and pretty much they started at Grandville. Roger realized that, and I truly believe he created a process where he was going to create effective leaders that can step in and grow, which is one of the reasons we're looking internally. So getting John's perspective on that, because he was here for Ron. That's what I'm looking for. Those are mine. And I'm happy to give up the special ed if you want it. Amy?
I mean, I don't worry about what questions I ask. I think I understand what you're trying to say is how do we, really, because it's very complicated, right? How do we make sure that with students who receive services, right, are one, having access to the general education classroom, but at the same time, still receiving an education that they benefit from. That's a question that is asked in every district everywhere. So I think it would be important to get that. I just don't want to take the question from you and not get it what you're looking for.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mark, what's your feeling based on your experience of having heard all sorts of questions in terms of the phraseology of what's being suggested here?
I've never had, we always have a couple that get thrown in there as far as a little different. I mean, mine that I made are more general questions, I guess you could say. It's just, when you look at the ones that Bob presented there, they're a little more specific for Grandville, and you'd have to, if you were doing, like the last question, if it was someone from outside the district,
Right.
You'd word something along, how do you develop leadership?
It's a Rubik's Cube. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't solve the puzzle. John has the ability to solve this puzzle.
And that is the unique thing about going, someone that knows the district. So I'm going to say generally we don't get that specific.
That was my question. Is this a more simplistic approach to the questions more often what you see when you're talking about?
Yeah, they're very similar
So that
to what
they
I
have
have
more time to
here,
talk than we
but
have.
it's
Right.
Most of them that I've done are overall external and internal searches at the same time. So
Okay.
they couldn't answer that. When the last internal one I did there were more specific to that district questions, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it makes sense with an internal search to ask more specific questions, right? There's a limited amount of time. I'd rather almost have fewer questions that are more specific than a whole bunch of general questions that we're like, yeah, we know what you're going to say. That's not really useful.
And that's
Yeah,
what
I
I
found some
thought
of
when I
these,
looked at,
yeah.
no offense.
No, right.
I know you won't take it, but based on what we've done in the past versus what you have here, and then it's internal, that's how I came up with my questions.
I don't disagree with that. I think you're both right in that regard. I just wonder about like, if you're asking John to compare Ron Kneff to Roger Barrett, I don't know if that is something that is necessarily the way that I would approach it myself. Might say, you've been to the benefit of Roger Barrett doing a great job in terms of nurturing your leadership skills. What do you see as your role as a superintendent to do the same for future candidates? Something like
And
that.
pretty much it's the same thing I just said from my end.
Well, but
It's
you
close,
asked
but I
him
mean,
to.
you talk about leading questions, though.
Your question.
Well, okay, that's true, but you're also, I just don't understand the need to compare what.
Leadership styles and the benefits or the pros and cons of each, I think.
Well,
He's
maybe
been
that,
Yeah.
the way you said that,
Yeah.
that
But he's been here
seems-
for 23 years.
I understand that. I'm not negating, I'm just
Yeah.
saying the way that.
I see what you're
Instead of
I think
naming
the
the
way you
people,
said
would
it,
you say the
Jason,
prior,
was-
the current?
Ron Kniff is not going to be offended by his name being mentioned.
Can you reread the question, because I forget what you said there. I mean, I know the heart
Okay.
of what you're saying, but.
Can you provide a quick synopsis between Roger Barrett and Ron Kniff related to leadership development strategies regarding their approach to resolving issues and their management styles that have facilitated leadership development opportunities?
I think what I remember is maybe your follow-up saying, hey,
Right.
yes.
And I'm not going to go
No, yeah,
there.
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm
with you.
giving you
Yep,
the
yep.
context because you,
Yep.
how many here were a board member under Ron Kniff, right?
Yeah, no,
Didn't
yep,
happen.
yep. So yeah, I think it's perfect. I'm good with it.
Okay, that's what I got.
Does that make you feel, more
Yeah,
comfortable?
as long as we're not going to dive further into what you did in your explanation, I think
Yeah.
that's okay.
So
I'm
you
going to
had,
read what the questions are.
Yep,
That's it.
go ahead.
so you had 4 questions.
I did, but I'm only, my
Well-
perspective, budget, special ed, and then superintendent differences.
We're not saying we're going with, no offense, we're not saying we're going with all 4 of his questions. I want to get, everyone's perspective.
I understand that.
Yeah, and we'll
I
go
gave
from
it, I
there.
gave you curriculum because I had it.
Yep, no, that's fine.
And I said, I'm happy to give that one away.
Now, I know, Amy, you said you developed some questions as well. You want to share yours?
Well, I mean, I had just started kind of thinking about things that were important. One of them was with the Moody rating shifting from A1 to A2 in Lansing, proposing a shift in the tax revenue. What are your expectations for not only our district, but what will his expectations be also for what his reimbursement is, right? So I do think that he plays a role into this. I know we had already talked about, Bob, you had said early on that if, we're talking about steps in salaries, right? And so what are his perspectives, not only on, in general, cutting from the district, but also what are his expectations when he steps into this role, right?
As far as
Now, I
salary?
don't know, huh?
As far as salary?
Yeah, and things like that. But that's for later on. But I was very interested in how we're doing the budgeting as far as what is necessary, what is not necessary in our district, as far as what are we cutting, what are we not cutting. So I didn't have it specifically worded like you did, but I do think it's interesting with the tax revenues being cut and the A1, A2 Moody rating shifting. I'm very interested in how he sees different things in our district being used, even like our land and all of those things. So I didn't have that written down, but my budgetary things came up with those kind of specific questions, right?
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I thought you were done.
I also would like to see some kind of question where we talk about his comfort level in working with the state, right? So there were a lot of different things when we got reports from Roger regarding him talking specifically with our leadership in Lansing. And I would like to kind of maybe figure out some kind of a question where we're talking about his comfort level and his experience in working in Lansing. One of the other things is we have, unfortunately, this one, number 8, unfortunately, crisis events and trauma can happen in schools. We are seeing an uptick, so I think that one goes with one of my questions. that was, as we see some of our most vulnerable students in our ESL programs and immigrant communities shrink away from educational needs and sometimes forego school altogether, how will you help our teachers, staff, and families work in some of these current traumatic situations for those students specifically? I do worry about our students. So those are some of my concerns that went along with these, and also with curriculum. I liked your curriculum question. A lot of these I do
You
think
want
are
it?
very similar. Huh?
You
Do I
want
want
to
it?
ask it?
We'll start assigning them later.
We'll start
Okay.
assigning them, yep. No, I like the curriculum questions, very much so. I think I might leave those to Sally, though. She has a distinctly intimate relationship with curriculum issues. I would like to hear hers.
My only add-on to the budget thing was, and it's very similar, is given the shifting sands of our monies coming in, how will he prioritize, or in suggesting how we use our budget?
Yeah.
I think that fits right in
But I
with
think
what
that
both
also
of you
was,
said.
I mean, Bob hit a lot of that too
Yep.
in his budget question.
Yep.
Yep.
Brent, did you have anything prepared?
Mine was just it would be related to question 21, which I already said. I kind of rewrote it, and it was, we have said Grandville is a destination district. Can you list a couple of examples of why it currently is, and what do we need to do to remain that in the next 5 to 10 years?
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
It gives him, I mean, off the top of his head, he has to say what he thinks is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you've hit a lot of the questions that I had. One thing I do think is important is we need, because it is an internal candidate, I think asking specifically, what are, on day one, when you walk in, what are some things or areas that you think need to be improved or changed? And that's not trying to dig at the district, but I think we want to get an idea for like, what is the vision? So around some of those, so, you could say, what are 3 things that, or you could just say, list some specifically. I do think another question around organizational structures in the central office, and sort of our district administration. So what's going well? Are there changes that you would want to make to the organizational structure in central office district administration? Because that's something that I would think, I would like to know, sort of their thoughts. There was one question I read somewhere that I liked was, what is some feedback that you've been given on your leadership that you are still working on? Whether it's leadership skills, kind of, it gets, I think, to that strength, weakness, but it's a little bit more specific, and how do you plan to continue to develop in that area?
I understand where you're coming with those. I want to be careful with the day one. What are the 3 things you're going to address, and what the org structure changes, right? Because I think if you look at the responses we've gotten from our community and everyone, 85% of the people said, stay the path, stay the course, right? With a few small adjustments. I guess so for 9 years of my career, I was an executive recruiter, okay, working with companies and candidates. And one of the first things I would always ask them, what kind of situation are we in, right? Are we got to come in and overlap the apple cart and change everything, and we got to really bring in someone that's going to change? Or are we looking for someone who's going to come in and help steer the ship that's already sailing in the right direction, right? And we can refine the language on that, the day one and the org structure changes. That's something I see, that's down the road. That's not, I don't think we're asking anyone at this point to come in and say, what are the 3 things you're going to change or you're going to address right away? And how are you going to, restructure the central office? And I'm not saying say that, I'm just saying I want to make sure we're coaching the language appropriately, because like I said, 85% of our respondents are saying things are going okay. Let's not throw it all up
I agree with you.
and shake it up.
However, when I was looking at different resources from MASB, from other resources around doing an internal search. Asking, questions that are specific about like, hey, things are going well, but what are you going to do that might be different or whatever? That's a critical question.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
I don't want that to get
Yep.
sort of eliminated because I want to make sure, again, right, like if somebody was to come in and
Yeah.
say, well, I am going to completely redesign everything, that might be a red flag.
Right.
But I think we need to have a pretty good idea of that. I think those are, in almost every resource I read about doing internal searches, they said those are the single most important questions you can ask internal candidates.
If I can make a suggestion.
Yeah,
And
go
it's
ahead.
just a suggestion. I think change versus priority is an easier word to digest for those that will be, it will be echoed right,
Yep.
throughout the district.
Yep.
Just a suggestion.
I think saying, using the term priority, that is absolutely fine. I think that gets at what we want.
Perfect. All right.
Along with that, I
Do you
just
have any more?
No, I'm sorry.
No, again, there are questions about curriculum, but I think you have all sort of captured those ideas, so.
Along with that, to tag on to what you were saying, Amy, is, and tell me if this would be an appropriate question. How will you deal with your central office if you see areas of high need or deficit in the personnel your team that you're working with?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Supervision
Yeah,
type
supervision,
of.
thank you, that's a great word to put in there, yeah. Measure, assess, coach, whatever, those are kind of the things that I would be, my tick words that I would be looking for, that kind of thing.
Right.
How are they going to do that? How are they going to implement plans for improvement, such things like that? Is the way I first stated, does that seem right?
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
think it's still one of the ones that's on here that I really wanted to make sure
Okay.
we were going to address,
Good,
right?
perfect,
So,
good.
yeah.
What's your list?
So as I looked at the list, right? I mean, I know we said some of them, hey, might go together, right? But like 10 was definitely one. The 11, I liked 11 over 12, but I could go either way, on that one. Just getting to it, right? I mean, the big one that I had is how do you, and it's almost a two-part question, right? Because how do you evaluating existing programs? Because I do think that's going to be important
Yep.
for us, and we've talked about this. What programs are we going to keep, right? As all this extra funding has gone away, right? We've talked a lot about
What
what
are you
programs
gonna-
are we going to keep, which ones are we going to cut, right? And say that they're not working the way we wanted to. And the same goes with personnel, right? I mean, it is. It is what it is,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And we've got to make sure we've got a plan and we've got someone who's going to be willing to help make those hard choices, right? And how are we going to address those
Yeah.
items? And so I think that's a big one, and it's because it goes with budget, my viewpoint, right? But it also goes in understanding where our achievement, one of them was talking about achievement gaps, right? Where our achievement gaps are and how are we going to address those, right? And how are we going to have real meaningful change and growth and development in those? And it's systems, right? Sometimes it's personnel, right? I mean, they go hand in hand. So I don't know how to break it out. I'm hoping, someone can help me with that, but I do think those are two things that I want to make sure we're looking at and discussing,
Yeah.
right? And asking,
If you want to send me a quick email, I'll try and come up with something for you. I have time tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So I'm going to revise everything here. I'm going to revise mine, and I'll have it, however we're going to do that next stage of communicate. And I'll try and have it done by 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'll
Can we
just
do a
jump on it
shared
and get it
Google
done.
Doc where we can look at each other's questions and give
So I don't know,
suggestions?
what
or
are
is
the
that-
rules
that-
about
You
that?
probably can't.
What are the
can you?
rules about that when it comes to open meetings and everything?
You
Oh,
can't.
You can't.
Okay.
Okay.
That's where I was wondering, I mean, because I'd like to try to hammer out as much as we can tonight, and that's where the simplistic questions are great,
Yep.
right? But, this being internal, it's a little more, I want them to be a little more pointed.
We could do a one-on-one, but
Yeah.
don't want to go
Sure,
beyond that.
right.
Um,
That is true.
And I would just help to refine, that's all I'm offering.
I
So
think maybe,
before-
go ahead.
So before we start this, there won't be another time for us to like look at each other's questions, okay?
No.
And if you want, can I put you on the spot?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. If you want to compose your question and then ask Mark to review it,
Sure.
I'm sure he would be happy to do that.
I mean, typically what I do, I'm trying to figure out where you're all going with this. Because I typically walk away here knowing pretty much what the questions are.
Yep.
I have the questions. I get them typed up on the guide, and have that all produced. I send you the questions, preferably be sometime this weekend, so you have them and know what they are. And then, and I assign who's going to ask each question. And now, I mean, I do not want to come in here, it is not good practice to come in here on Tuesday night and you all have your own questions
Yes, I agree.
that not everybody has seen or heard. So,
Well, and again, I will pass my revised, finalized to you
Right.
tomorrow by 11.
yeah, I have no problem with that, so.
Okay.
So why
Can
don't
we prioritize which
Yeah.
of these that we would like to keep and then put a nice big scratch through the ones that we don't
Right,
want?
'cause I think they are.
yeah,
That's
it's
kind
like
of where
starting
I
one,
was
hey,
sort of what
can we
I've
put
been
tick
doing.
marks by the ones
Yep,
that,
and, because I do think that it's important that we are talking about, especially from our last special board meeting where, Dr. Gilreath, I always get her, Watts?
Gilreath Watts.
Gilreath Watts, I always say Gilreath, I don't know why even why, but I would like to address the fact that this has also come up several times with and I think it actually works with number 9, telling us about challenging situations you've experienced bringing diverse groups of people to a consensus on difficult issues, specifically how we can have representation for our students, either those that are in poverty, those who are specifically, she said, are strengthening of Asian and Latin American students, because we have such a high, population right now. And I can't even remember how many languages we are up to now speaking in Grandville.
Over 30.
Over 30.
In the high school alone, there's probably others.
And so I think that that's one that I would like to include as far as that goes, but I think it fits nicely with 9. So I can have that circled, but if we want to just do, okay, so I think it would be good if we just, first of all, eliminated the ones that we think are not necessarily what the ones we want to use.
okay. Okay. So let's go, we talked about, hey, do we want to do 1 and 2? I'm good with 1.
1, yeah.
How about 2? You guys have a strong, you want to do 2?
I think it's a fluff.
think
I
I
agree.
think they're
I'm not
fluffy.
really
I do
married
too.
to it.
I think 1 is important because I think it's not, I mean, we are the audience, but I also think there are people who might attend who may not know,
Yes.
the background. And so start off, I think, with 1. 2 is fluff.
So I get this straight. 2's out?
Two's out.
For now.
I think 3 and 4 are so
Pencil, use
very
pencil.
similar.
3 and 4, same.
Yeah, 3 and
the
4, so,
same.
but again, do
But-
we want to just go with Bob's?
So
I feel
I'd
like
say
that's the better-
insert Bob's
That's what I would
question
say.
Yes, I would
Bob's
agree.
question for 3 and 4.
would be our second question, so Bob's question is number 2.
Number 6 is the one that really groups 5, 6, and 7 together.
I agree. I'm trying to, how do you ask that in a way that you're not going to just get?
What are ways that you will engage
That just seems
staff
real
and
simple.
community?
It does. I mean, it's like.
What have you seen that works well? What would you implement?
Okay.
I mean,
You remember what you just said?
yeah. What have you
I'm
seen?
writing it down.
Well, some people can just talk and they don't remember what they just said, so
That's
that's
me
what I'm-
typically.
So are you saying 5 and 7 are out, or all of them?
It's all, so it's basically, because we're talking about community staff, communicate with staff and community. So I just basically, what have you seen that works well in communicating with staff and community?
You, yeah. And then, and what have you seen work well? What would you like to
And what
implement?
could we improve?
So it's 6 with just a little add-on. I can
Yep.
send you that as
So
well.
that would be
Yeah.
the third question.
With regard to 8, to me, I know I'm speaking for him, but to me, that would be a perfect Joe question.
For Joe? I'm also talking about, so I think that that's great. Is he also willing to add on what we have seen within our communities, our immigrant and ESL communities with hesitancy to come to school? Specifically in regard to like ICE incidences that we've had?
I think you need to form that then as a separate question.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
Or you could say, unfortunately, crisis events and trauma can happen in schools in many forms.
And then the follow-up could be specifically.
How have you managed
Specifically for-
crisis
okay,
situations?
all right.
And then that could be your follow-up.
And how could
Okay,
you,
perfect.
how have you
Yeah, okay.
managed a variety of crisis situations or something like that? Yeah.
I like the in many forms. It's just simple.
Okay.
So we're keeping 8?
You're keeping
Yep.
8.
Add, unfortunately, crisis events and trauma can happen in schools in many forms.
in that first sentence.
Yep. How have you managed these situations? And then the follow-up can be any specifics that we. Okay.
Tell me about a time. You always want to use the tell me about a time. Because that gets you the specifics that you're looking for. That's the behavioral-based questions we want to get after. That's what prevents us from getting into the yes, no, red, blue, green answers.
Yeah, okay. Very good.
Okay. All right, so then we talked about you want, did someone have something different for the 9, the diverse group of people?
I did want to add, how do we increase our representation for our students that we are seeing, right here specifically, we are seeing this growing number of diverse student population. How would you address diversity among staff and district leaders to mirror this population growth?
So is that the substitute for 9?
Yeah.
Because that feels
Possibly.
like a different.
Yeah, it's a
It
different
is,
question.
it's a
It is
very different question.
Yeah.
Although
Again,
it
could that
does-
be a follow-up in terms of, you ask 9 and
And
then
then
say
follow up with that,
specifically?
yeah.
I feel like 9
Or
in what you're discussing
They're
is different because
different,
it's
they're very
Yeah, they are.
different.
it's
Yeah, they're
recruiting,
different.
retaining.
Right.
And I think
providing
this is a
development.
diversity
Okay.
of consent, like, this is a diversity of opinions and consensus, right? Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
and I think, obviously, I think John does a really good job with that, but
So then do we need 9? If you say John does a good job with it?
yeah.
I'm just asking. We can come back to it.
Let's circle back to that.
Put that as like a maybe.
All right.
Our
So
10
number 8 is actually only our 4th question, and
Yep.
that's with Joe. This is a question mark.
Does 10 and 16
10 and
really
16 are
similar?
very similar.
Yeah.
Which one do we like better?
16 gives him much more of a, how he's engaged and supporting
I think
staff.
16's better for
I
sure.
think so,
Yeah, I
agree,
think 16 's
because
better.
it's that's
I
more
agree.
specific. How do you know?
10 is.
That's question number 5. Okay.
10's out?
Yeah,
10's
10's
out,
out.
16's in.
11 and 12. You said those are very similar?
Is it, and maybe I'm just, my words are blending, but are 11 and 12 similar to 18?
Yes, because we were talking about parsing some of that out.
Or do you
I
see
think
something
12 and
different?
see, I think 12 and 18 more similar,
More
to be honest with you, because I think,
okay.
11 is really about what's your experience, right, doing this. And 12 and 18 are about how have you pulled others in.
Yeah.
To do
Yeah,
something.
I agree.
I see that, yeah.
And I do think it's important for us to understand, I mean, yeah, a lot of the time he's going to be leading and helping lead people to, get solutions, but also he's going to have to have solutions as well, right? And come up with
Right,
ideas
right.
that are outside the box. So I do think it's important to be able to ask both.
11 and 12. I like
Yeah.
12 better than I like 18.
You like 12, but I toss it for me, I don't care. What does everyone else think?
Just get rid of 18.
Okay.
18
So,
18's out,
so
okay.
11 is question number 6, 12 is question number 7. '13, so this gets to, part of what I was talking about as far as evaluating programs and personnel. So, go ahead, please.
I think that the 13 is a specific question. I think we can get a better question.
Yep.
That just seems very fluffy, like,
I concur.
what are your expectations? It's,
Yep.
so I think asking something more specific.
You had kind of worded it before, Jason, which I thought was,
Right.
I don't remember how you worded it, but I thought it
Yeah.
was good, but
With them when it comes to personnel.
He's like, can you give me a hint?
I don't
Remember what
remember. how
Bob
you-
said about people forgetting what they say? Let me think on it. I'll get back to you.
Well, I added to that, and I don't know if this is what you were thinking of, but I said, and how would you address areas of high need or deficit? Because it's not only expectations, but if they're not met, what are you going to do?
Which question were you adding to?
That is on number 13.
Yeah, but doesn't that flow into 14 with what you just said?
That's what I'm seeing.
Well,
I think between 13 and 14, 14 is much more powerful.
Yep.
But this is more about instructional practices.
right.
The number
13
13
is
is
about
dealing
staff.
more with central staff. Isn't it?
Well, it's
Just-
central staff, it's
Well,
principals and
well,
teachers.
principals and
Yeah.
teachers, right, sure. But it includes more,
It's personnel. It's
yeah.
overall personnel.
Right.
Right?
But 14 is more about instructional staff.
You could ask it, how do you assess the effectiveness of instructional practices and teaching resources? And then you could come right back, how do you assess the effectiveness of
Okay.
personnel?
And I think
Which-
an important follow-up is sort of, what do you do? Kind of what's your approach if you find that, whether it's, a teacher, a principal, anyone,
Personnel,
needs, right, if you have concerns and need to improve, how do you go about doing that?
So in looking at 14, my question on curriculum is the follow-up.
Yeah.
So, so 14 would be 8, and you could follow up with your, okay, so 14 is 8.
13 is out.
13 would be out,
13's out.
and then follow up on curriculum.
Follow-up is Bob's.
Yep.
So 14 is in, is that what you're saying? Or is 14?
And it's number 8.
So do you want the follow-up? You don't need the follow-up question, do you?
Well,
Or do you
it's-
want it?
I think you do. I mean, I think they're two separate questions.
Well, no, they're sort of attached, but.
They are attached.
If he's already putting in resources to answer 14, it would almost seem that he's going to be ready for the follow-up. Okay, should follow-ups be considered in the group of questions that they will see?
Usually I do not, because usually when they're follow-ups, it's just thought of.
It's ad hoc,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's how I see it, Jason.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think through, because it's a pretty structured follow-up. I mean,
See, I like your curriculum question
I do,
all
I
on its
just-
own.
I
Yeah.
like your curriculum
I
question, too.
don't want it to
Yep.
be necessarily just a follow-up. I would rather have it be,
So can we take Bob's
Whole question
curriculum
itself.
question and make that our 9th question? and place it right there. So he had the curriculum question regarding math and reading concerns and what we can do to align the district. And that can be question 9.
I'm okay having them be separate questions. You can ask the 14, and then you can say, all right, now more pointedly, let's talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
like that better.
So follow up with Bob.
Here's your-
Okay, so number 9 would be Bob's curriculum.
So number 14 is question number 8 now,
Uh-huh.
and then Bob's curriculum question is
It's
question
number 9, yep.
One thing that, did we touch on this, and I'm sorry, it's kind of flowing together. Did we touch on, for example, if John, becomes the new suit, having once been a colleague of central office, now he's going to be a supervisory position.
I would like a
How is-
question on peer today,
Okay.
boss tomorrow.
That's
All
a
right.
good, that's a good question. Yeah.
How
Where
did
do
you
we put it
phrase
right
it,
there? Does that mean-
Jason?
Peer today, boss tomorrow.
Okay, got it.
It's a book.
Pure today, boss tomorrow.
Just
like it.
list that question mark.
Have you read?
That
Now
would
what
be
are
a
you
good
gonna
one
do?
for you to ask.
Come up with something.
Yeah.
All right, we're on to question number 15. Considering your past accomplishments, what are some reasons for your success? How did you overcome difficulties you may have encountered? Anybody have a
I
strong
think we
desire in that
can
one?
cut that. That's, I mean,
We had
it's,
his.
right, I think
Moving on.
that's,
Okay.
17,
15's gone.
15's done. Yeah, 15's gone. 17, I marked it off because, I mean, we've seen
Yeah.
what he's done
That's
there.
what he
I mean,
does.
That's what he
it's
does.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
17's out,
17's out.
18's out,
18's out.
19. In general.
I wonder if we could put something in there, like the question about, tell us feedback that you've received, about your leadership, that you are still continuing to work on, or something, what areas do you need to continue to develop in? I'd rather do that than get questions about leadership style.
But that's
Here's my
21.
suggestion.
Oh, yeah.
We cut 19, put mine in there, and then you have the follow-up with that.
Is that
Okay.
The development one that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What was your follow-up one?
What was the development? The,
Can you read that again for us, Bob, your development question?
It's not complete.
Well, take what you
I don't
want.
It's pretty much the difference between Roger versus Ron related to leadership development strategies and their approach to resolving issues along with their management styles to facilitate leadership development opportunities. I'm going to rework it.
And then following that up with, what is feedback that you've received about your, and I don't care if we say leadership style or management style, whichever is more common. And what are you doing to continue to develop in that area?
How would you say, hey, when you think about this role, right, and the challenges that are ahead of you, what is the one thing you think you need to work on the most?
Yeah,
which is really
that's a good question.
Could
That's
you-
question
simpler.
21. Isn't that what
Is that-
question 21
Can you
is?
add to the, and how will you know you've made progress?
And I feel like that's,
Is that 21?
I feel like.
21's talking about the district.
No, no.
Well, the district, but yeah.
So is that a follow-up question or a separate question?
So
I think it should be a separate
It'll be
It's a
question.
separate question,
right?
yep.
So,
So it was 11, so we have the leadership style differences, right?
Yep.
You know, what do you see work, what does not work? And then we were gonna follow up with,
What did you just say? You phrased it very well. What is the,
Yeah.
We need to have a.
when you look at
Yes.
the needs of the position of superintendent, right? Where do you think you need to continue developing the most?
Yep, I like that. That's a better way to say what I was trying
I got it
to
down.
stumble out.
Perfect, all right.
I got it down.
Good.
That's question 11
All right.
from Amy.
So then Brent had a good one for 21. Or, so, question
Yeah.
12. So
Yeah.
this is the,
And that's, I said we have set Grandville as a destination district. Can you list a couple of examples of why it currently is, and what do we need to do in the next 5 to 10 years to remain that?
okay. Can you write that down and share that with Mark?
That'd be great.
Yep, it just.
Can I go back?
Yeah, please.
Was 20 out? I have 19 out, 20's out,
20's out, I think. I mean, unless someone's got it.
Yeah.
That's,
and 21's going to be replaced.
21 is going to be an add-on.
21 is going to be
We're
what
just gonna
Brent
edit.
just said.
Yes.
Basically, it's a destination district, and how do you see us
Yeah.
further?
So 21's out, and Brent's question is going to replace.
Correct.
Yeah.
Replaced.
21's
I'm
out.
just writing down here by Brent's question that he's going to get to.
Did you actually have a full question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's question number 12, yeah. So leadership development strategies is Bob.
So 22 was one that, again, I thought was important, right? And the way I was thinking about, that I'd like to phrase it is, you know, we talked about budget difficulties that we have ahead of us, and we all know we are gonna have to do more with less. So evaluating, you know, everything we have, our personnel and our programs is gonna become even more important. How are you gonna go about doing that?
And so you're just putting a special, like, budgetary emphasis on that? Because otherwise, it reminds me of what we were talking about before in 14. a
Yeah,
little bit,
11
too.
through 14 was all
Yeah,
the same.
but this is more of a budgetary twist on it.
I think it's more of, again, going, it is, because I think that's, yes.
I think
Okay.
you're going down a level.
You think I'm going too low?
No,
No.
no. I like the fact that you're doing that.
Okay.
You're going down a level. You're getting to that
Digging-
next
digging
level
and
question.
digging.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit more specific.
No, I like
I
it.
can get you the wording on that, because I've got it
Okay.
written down here in front of me.
Okay.
So 22 as it stands is out.
As it stands,
As
it's
it
out.
stands.
There will be a replacement.
I'll give it to you, yes, yeah, exactly. It's just gonna be slightly revised. So that's question 13. All right, so that's me, got it?
Yep.
Personal integrity. Consequences for you. Thoughts?
He's like such a good guy.
Where I think he would go with this, which I think would be cool to hear, is I think he would talk about his relationship with Slice, is what I think he would do. And that's kind of a cool thing.
Even though there were a bit of negative consequence for him?
He lost his best friend.
Then
But
we-
I don't know.
I
I'm
was
just
thinking
giving
just-
you an idea.
Yeah.
It's,
But it
I was hoping
include
more
the
of
face
what's
of
more-
opposition, though.
Yeah, I
right?
was thinking, I was hoping for more of an answer that was, hey, I had to stand on principle, even though it may not have been the popular. you know, I mean,
Right,
you know,
right, I think that's the gist of that question.
Yeah.
I understand,
Yeah.
but that was both professional and personal. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me. I'm just telling.
So do we like
I'm
the
giving
question?
you. I'm giving you how he might
Yeah.
answer. I am definitely not completely in tune with John Philo.
Do we like that question?
I think if we are looking at, it is very hard to be a superintendent, and, you know, it is very hard to sometimes make those decisions that don't, what is always popular is not always right, what is right is not always popular, so we have 13 questions right now.
Yep.
Could you phrase it so that it's more about, you know, that you need to be true to your personal integrity and what was best for the student involved, or students involved, even though you had to stand up to, you know, opposition?
Yeah. I'm just wondering, I mean, it starts to make the example very specific, and you may not have had to have
Right, I think-
something
I think
that was that
Okay,
specific.
because I didn't know how deep,
Yeah.
far you wanted to dig down. Could it be otherwise in your professional life here in Grandville?
It's the only professional.
It's only been here.
It's only been.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so in Grandville, take away.
I do like that you would leave it open in that, as far as what type of, how does John see, when, what opposition he had to stand up, come up with his
right.
own, whether,
Yeah.
he may come up with, working with a student, it may be something, who knows what it could be.
Yeah.
But that's one I do like it a little more open.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so that's 14.
23's in.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, is there a question number 14?
I wanted to get at least one of them there.
We talked about 24.
I think 24 is the one that,
24 is similar to the one that we added.
that Amy's gonna add, right? The,
Yeah,
That's what I
the
thought.
when you look at the
leadership.
needs of super, where do you need to develop most?
Although, I guess when I think about this,
This also includes the board.
SMART goals come to my mind.
right, well, and I think about more specific, so I think about leadership development, right? Like, how do you interact with people? I think I look at this as more, what PD
Yeah.
do you think you need to become sort of well-rounded? Because again, when you step up into this role, you're in charge of everything in the district. So where do you, do you need more PD or development around special education procedures? Do you need it around K-4 curriculum?
Does MASB offer things for new superintendents, that kind of thing? Yeah.
That's
They have their own
MASA?
MASA.
MASA, and there's lots of stuff around the state for that.
Right, so, right,
But kind of thinking about that continuous professional development.
yeah.
So I'm good with keeping that one.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's question 15.
15.
25, I liked, I mean, I didn't really like that. I mean, I like 26 more if
yeah,
if
I
they were
like
the same.
26 quite a bit, because that was also
I
one of the
agree.
things that was brought to the board regarding
Yeah.
our achievement gaps,
Yep.
how we get more students into AP, how we close those achievement and proficiency gaps.
Mhm.
And it also talks about having like gaps in feeling safe and included.
Yep.
And it also talks about our combating race-based bullying and all that stuff. So I think that's a very good one that can actually hit a lot of those questions that were asked to the board. I like that one.
26 is.
26 would be number 16.
I don't know if anybody else heard a lot of this and the people that they talk with, but I got a lot of feedback about, will the superintendent be willing to look at redrawing lines in the district? Did that come up with you, Brent? No? Okay. In terms
I
of
think
class size
that likely
situation.
feeds into class size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would tie into class size if it
Yeah.
can be done.
I don't know.
also
Is that-
ties into
I mean,
school
it's,
choice.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's.
don't know.
They use that for openings for school of choice. So that's how they adjust it over time.
Yeah, I just,
It's been a struggle this year for sure, and the past couple.
there's so much that goes into that. I mean, it's not I don't think it's a,
I'm just bringing it because
I
I
don't-
did
yeah.
have it come to.
yeah, I just don't know if that's a superintendent interview question.
Yeah.
How are you going to approach redrawing the district lines
Yeah.
if you need to?
Well, and I think
Because it's so layered
it
and
is
complicated.
it's
Right.
very, and it changes, actually sometimes very
Well,
quickly
and that's the thing too.
depending on development.
That's it. It can change so quickly from one year to the next because you can't just redraw the lines because what happens the next year? That school, because of people leaving, a family of 8 moves out and a family of 2 moves in, right? I mean, you can quickly get yourself sideways if you're trying to redraw
Well-
it constantly.
And I almost am wondering is, I guess, the question that maybe that's getting at, right, is given, I think, the dynamic nature of the Grandville the public school district, because we go over into Walker, a little into Wyoming, and how, things change over time in terms of how many people are in the district. How do you manage that? How do you plan and manage changing enrollment patterns? Although I don't know that we could get a really good answer, because I don't think there's like a quick answer you can give to that.
It's something, to me, I go to look at that one, that's one of those things where you're gonna evaluate someone on in other evaluations, and you're basically, are they bringing these things forward, saying, hey, yeah, I met with, someone talked about, getting involved with the state, right? I mean, very wrong and differently, superintendents, get that, right? I mean, they're not necessarily involved, they're not going to Lansing a lot, but they're talking to their legislators, right? They're talking to the mayors of Walker, they're talking to the mayors of Wyoming, right? Understanding what's coming. Hey, when is this gonna get approved for that new development next to Meyer, and how many people are going in there, and starting to talk to Jack about, hey, how do we swap land with you here, with the old,
You don't want to, you want to have a conversation with Jack, because you know what he's going to do. He always wins.
I know.
It's never, oh, it's 50-50. Hey,
I think that's not a question we want to ask.
Yeah, it's just, it's too.
Did we get, Bob, did we get your special education class?
We did.
Is that in there? Okay, so
did not.
we want to add that
That could be number 17.
around.
Mark can put it where he needs to put it.
Yeah, we can put it, it doesn't matter where. I also would like, and this might be a professional development question, because I know we have about curriculum selection and, all of that. I think I heard a lot of questions about PD, and so one of the questions I think might be good would be, how do you prioritize, something around PD. So how do you select PD? How do we ensure that all of our teachers and staff receive the professional development they need to ensure that,
Yeah.
something around PD?
Such a balance, right? Because this person isn't doing all of this. It's
Right.
holding the people accountable that are responsible for
Right.
doing it, right? I mean, kind of like the president. The president, well, typically doesn't set every policy, right? But if the policies that are in place go against what they want, right, or they hold
Right.
that person accountable, right?
Well, and I wonder with PD, I mean, the question is, what is, tell us what you think high-quality professional development looks like. How do you evaluate whether it's working? And sort of what do you do when it's not working? I mean, it could be a follow-up to curriculum.
So that's the instructional practices and teaching resources. I mean, it
Right.
kind of fits in there. I mean, if you want to reword that somehow to be more pointed, I mean, that would probably make sense. I guess I wouldn't want to go, I don't know if we need to want to add another one on top of that. What do you think?
I mean, part of me thinking, my thought is, we have room for questions. One of the things that came up in our survey are some of the sessions were curriculum and
That was
so I
the
do,
highest.
Well,
I do
so,
think we
okay.
need to.
Then, because we're starting to get to the limit, right?
Right.
We are starting, we're at 17.
Yep.
We didn't put the period today, boss tomorrow question in yet. And if we
Yep,
want,
you're-
if we don't want
you're
that,
right.
that makes 18, right? And if we're gonna have a final one as we wind down, and we don't have to do that one, that's fine. But I mean, we're already at 18, right? And if we look at time, 3 minutes a question, we're at 54 minutes.
We are, yeah.
So this,
So
we're getting to
maybe
the point of
what I'm
deciding
wondering then-
which ones we leave in, which ones we don't.
Because I do think the peer today, boss tomorrow is a really critical question. I wonder if getting at the PD through follow-up questions might be the best way to do that. Just in terms of asking. I'm fine with that.
Isn't
It's
it,
just-
like I said, maybe it's an add-on to
It
that,
could be.
that question.
I agree, should be follow-up. It simplifies the process.
Yeah.
So that's.
Okay.
Now,
that was
having said
17,
that,
right?
having said that, Bob's question is a follow-up to that as well. Because it's number 14 is what we're talking about.
I thought we were putting that one in.
We did, we added
Yes,
Bob's.
okay, so it's a separate question. Got it.
Yep.
Okay, got it. That makes sense.
Question number 9.
Yep. There you go. All right, I like it.
Not 100% on that.
I like it.
You're doing a great job tracking this, trust me.
I'm not really, but so, I'm going to go with this, all right? I'm going to read through
Yep.
what I think we have, and then what we're going to go from here, okay?
Yes.
Because I'm going to need some questions sent to me.
Yep.
So we have one, as is. Bob's budget question.
Yep.
That's question number 2.
Yep.
Then we're going to with number 6,
Yep.
and I've got some scribble on here that I think it's, I'm going to need some follow.
What have you seen work well? What would you like to implement going forward?
Would you like to- Keep the question, but add that part onto it, right?
Yep.
Some people would just type this up right here, but that's not me. 8 is in.
Yep.
As a number.
And we're
4.
adding to the first line in many forms.
Yes, I have that.
Perfect.
Number 9, I still have a question mark by it, because it was a maybe. That's what I heard.
We were gonna get back to that one.
Everywhere.
Because we were thinking about how do we have it really asking more of that diversity question.
I have 11 and 12 is in.
As 6 and 7, yep.
Yep.
Wait, what'd you say about
Which
6 and
is
7?
5
Yeah,
then?
So 9 is in then?
9 is 5?
No.
Nope.
So what we said, we moved and said, question number
Number 5
16
is-
would be our number 5
Number 16
question,
is
but-
number
Oh,
5.
Yeah.
11 and 12 are in.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
not keeping track. I'm
That's
glad
okay.
somebody else is doing that.
Yep.
16 is
Yeah.
5,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Number
So-
16 is 5,
Yeah.
number 11 is 6,
Yep.
number 12 is
Four.
7.
Yep,
Yep.
14 was in.
yep.
That's number 8, yep. And then there was gonna be the follow-up curriculum question, Bob's
No,
follow-up.
Bob's question is number 9.
Or it's number 9, right, it's not a
Bob's
follow-up.
question number
Yep.
9.
Yes,
Of curriculum.
Then we have 16 is in.
yes.
But it
Yeah.
is- It's number 5,
Yes.
yep.
Yep.
5, yeah.
Yep.
Then I have 17, 18, 19, and 20 crossed out, but I have written in here Bob's question.
So, yeah,
Well, we
question
have
number 10 is the leadership
leadership
question.
development.
You know, the comparison of Ron versus Raj's leadership
Okay.
development.
Okay, all right. I didn't know which one of Bob's questions, so.
Yep.
21, Brent's going to give me the wording for 21.
Well, before that,
Yeah.
Amy also has, when you look at the needs of a super, where do you
That, but
need to develop? Or that was
Yes.
already up in the other one, so that's not even there.
Wait, no, wait. We were so you're saying get rid of that?
No, I thought we.
Yeah,
that was
I
in
had
there.
that one
I have
down.
that in there too, right?
That you were going to ask a question about.
I'm sorry, I
Shit.
did have it written down here.
Okay.
As number 11.
Perfect.
The
Okay.
new number 11, it says, when you look at the needs of the superintendent,
Where do you?
where do you think you need to develop
The most, yes.
the most?
Yep.
So that's
So,
11, okay.
And
Yep.
then we had Bob's leadership question.
No, then we had
No,
Brent's
the
question.
Brent's question about the district.
As a destination district.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
in the
because
next 5,
Bob's
10 years.
other one was 10,
Yes.
21, basically 21 on here I'm replacing with,
yep.
Right.
Just
Yes.
Yeah.
Brent.
Just another
Okay.
B for you. That's all.
and then we said the old 23 is still in.
Got 22. 22 was in.
22 is,
Well,
We talked
22
about the
is,
budget difficulties coming.
Yeah,
for
it
tonight. I'm
says
gonna get that to
replace
you.
with Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm going to
That's-
send you that.
That's the,
how will you do, with less, how will you evaluate what is to be kept and what is to,
yep,
Yep.
yep,
24 is in.
yes.
So 23 was in, 24 is in, right?
23 as well, right? So
23 is in.
number
Also in,
14?
yep.
24 is in, is 15.
And 26 is in.
26 is in, yep.
And then
Including
27
achievement and
is, you
proficiency,
usually
yeah.
have some sort of an ending.
Follow
Yeah,
up.
so, but don't forget we have special,
And then
the
the
special
special ed is
education question is
17.
question
Where do you want to
17.
put it?
17, or
Wherever.
where would make sense?
Yeah. Somewhere.
So,
in between
just so I
sets.
know, we'll have Bob's. I'll
I
just-
would say, you could actually, it could go anywhere, actually. Maybe
Yeah.
after, maybe after curriculum, so.
Yeah, that-
8 would be the old 14, 9 would be my curriculum, 10 would be special ed.
Okay,
Yep.
Adjust it down.
so just adjust it.
And then everything else moves down.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers, but I'll figure it out.
I gotta
Yeah,
develop
just
a
throw them in the order.
peer today, boss tomorrow question
Okay.
Yep.
to end. And then,
That's number 18.
yep, and then the last question, as we have it, would be the 27th?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's
That's
18, 19?
Yeah, that's 19, and if, yeah,
That's good.
Yep.
I would rather go with fewer questions so we have more time
Well, you
for
said the
follow-up.
range is usually 18.
So, all right, so I had this straight.
yep,
We would have all 4 of what Bob brought up, right? We end up with all 4?
Apparently we are, yeah.
In
So
some form.
you're gonna send those to me?
Tomorrow by 11 o'clock.
Okay. You have 2 to get to me,
promise.
Jason.
Yep.
Peer-to-peer and peer to,
peer to boss, yeah.
peer to boss. And the other one, I just says it's replaced with Jason. Okay.
Okay.
Brett's gonna give me his probably tonight, because he looks like he has a piece of paper right there, ready to go. Is there any other one that I need? I think I got them all. So, all right, next question. I usually assign people to read these.
Right.
Was there something, Bob, did you want to read all of yours, or?
I would like to read at least the budget, the special ed, and the soups. I don't need to do curriculum, but I can.
I think it's good for someone else to jump in there.
That's what I'm saying, I'm not gonna give that one away.
So,
I guess, you know, from my perspective, really, I mean,
You could
I'd like to
just
start.
randomly
and-
assign,
Yeah, we can do that. I mean, for me, I just like to be able to start and end.
Yeah,
You know, with
that
the
makes
beginning
sense.
There you
question
go.
and the last
Sure.
question.
there you go.
yeah, that's typically
Yeah.
what happens, is the board president is running the proceedings, does the first one, last one, and then I usually go through and just kind of go down the list, and usually everybody ends up with a couple. But
That's
it's
fine.
okay
Yeah.
if, you know, Bob's are kind of, I don't want to say unique, but, you know, I think particularly the leadership one, I think Bob should ask that.
Can I ask a question about number 3 and number 11? It looks like we have the same question. So it says, what have you seen that works well? What could you improve? But then we have it down here also with, when you look at the needs of the super, where do you need to develop most? I feel like that is the exact same question. And somehow we got that in there twice.
What do you mean?
Before we shifted everything down, when Bob put his special ed question in at 10,
Okay.
question number 11 was, when you look at the needs of a super, where do you need to develop the most? But she said, when you look at what works well. Is that for,
Are you saying
is that for
3?
the community, or is that for?
It's the maintain
Okay,
visibility,
yep,
accessibility to
you're
staff,
right,
parents.
yep.
It's more communication based. I
More
think.
community, yep, okay.
That's, to me anyway.
Yep, you're right,
That sounds good.
yep.
So, the way I will do this then is, I'll try to put Bob with all his, I'll give the curriculum one to someone else, put Bob with your 3.
Toss everybody else out.
Toss it around
Yeah,
a bit.
that's fine.
I
see
don't
how it
have any
works out.
preference.
Just like to spread the
Yeah.
wealth,
Yeah.
you know?
You want to give Brent his, one that he developed? It's
You
great.
know, and so I'll,
And Joe will be here, Mark.
okay, yep. I will put, I'll put the questions together, and before I put them on the interview guide itself, Jason, I'll send them
Yeah.
to you.
I was just going to ask, are you guys comfortable with me working
Yep.
with Mark and making decisions about if we have to tweak,
That's fine,
order or anything like that,
Jason.
right?
I was gonna
That's
say, I
fair.
could blind copy each of you, so you can only respond to me, but I
Yep.
think that's not, that's
I don't think it's
too
anything.
close to.
I don't mind.
Too close to cross the line. I think
Yep.
Jason has, as long as he and I communicate, we'll have it.
Sounds good.
And then you can expect, It'll be sometime this weekend. I will send the guides to all of you so you have them.
Perfect.
And if you see something on there, it's like, this isn't at all what I had in mind or something, email me and we'll figure out from there where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's,
But I think if I give it to Jason, have him check, we'll probably be okay on that. They'll send me yours. They'll send me yours. You're gonna give me yours tonight. Last question. My advice with the questions that you have, I think you want some thoughtful answers. I would advise that you give John the questions Monday afternoon.
When we discussed that at the beginning, I don't see any issue whatsoever with that.
Yeah, in my experience, and again, having done this professionally, right? I mean, I think it's a best practice, unless you're looking at a position like a salesperson where you're looking for them to think quickly on their feet, or a PR person, that's not what we're looking for here, right? I want some thoughtful answers, and I want someone who can spend some time giving it, so.
And I guess, the number one mantra that a superintendent and the board should have is no surprises. So we should at least put our best foot forward with regard to that.
Does anybody have concerns about it, doing that? Okay,
I don't.
fair enough, there we go. Easy
But
enough.
can I just make sure that, if it arises, that you can ask a follow-up question even though we have not.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just wanna
that's-
make sure.
Follow-up
Yeah,
is ad
that's-
hoc.
Exactly, and I was saying,
Yeah.
that's how you understand whether or not someone is, that's why I always tell people, is when you do this, I think it's best practice, because you get good thoughtful answers.
Yeah, right.
But you're okay to peel the layers of the onion
Okay,
and see if
yeah,
they're
good.
BSing you.
Okay.
If they just Googled it, or ChatGPT, or whatever it is
Mhm.
nowadays. Clauded it?
They
I don't know.
clotted it, yeah.
I don't know. There's all kinds of AI models.
Do we
Anyway.
need to accept these set of questions then? We need to approve that, or is that an actionable
No,
item?
no, this
Okay.
is just
This is
a,
through Mark, right? You're
this is
right.
just discussion report, so.
And so, just as a reminder also for Wednesday, or same Wednesday, Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock. It's a regular board meeting, so we will have the public comment to start out with. And I would suggest that, and then obviously they'll be able to do the feedback forms. And then,
On that, should we do public comment beforehand, or do you want to do it after?
After,
After? Okay,
after. Let's stick with protocol.
okay. You get a squirrely look on your face, tell me why.
well, I was thinking just the opposite, but every meeting I've been to, you did public comment first, so that's why.
We moved it
so-
to the back, so we should hold to that.
Okay, so normally it's in the back?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the agenda will say basically, one interview, and then there will be an action item that will just say, I move to enter into contract negotiations with, in this case, we have one, with John Philo, and then the board will take a vote after you deliberate.
Yeah.
If you are not ready to make a decision, or no one makes a motion, then obviously you know how it works, you don't have it, but you should have it, just so you know that will be there. Does that make sense?
Yes. I have one process question, though. So, given that this is going to be an interview, so between Heather and Walt, I want to see if you were paying attention. To me, it would seem preferable to have John sitting at a table with
Yes.
a mic.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to
I
make
was
sure.
gonna bring that up, I figured.
Kind of like what we did for the
Vacancy.
board vacancy,
Yep.
Yes.
where it was right in the middle here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So that can be, I was thinking this is permanent here, so it can be moved, or something can be put out there.
Yeah, we'll put a table, that's
Yeah.
wired in, so.
Yeah, okay, so you have a wireless one, perfect. Yes.
Great. Mark, Thanks for being patient with us.
I appreciate you working with me on this, so hopefully,
You're earning your fee.
I think it is.
only if we're all done.
Only once we're there, right? There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Any other items to discuss here? Discussions, reports? Okay. Public comment? We don't have any public comment. All right. So the next board meeting of the Grandville Board of Education will be a special meeting on Tuesday, March 24th. It says 7. We're going to change that to 6 p.m. At the Grandville Administration Building. We are adjourned.